Clearly, I'm a cool person. My name is Hari Shankar. I'm very cool. Uh, I've come in the newspapers as well, so I'm certified cool. Uh, yeah. The first time I came in the newspapers, it was actually in the sports section, so like double cool, right? You know where the cricket section is, like not there. So towards the right bottom corner, if you look really hard, you'll see one headline that says Vanita Library Chess Tournament Winners List. And if you look towards the bottom corner, you will see Hari Shankar, seventh prize. My mom still has that cutout very safely shared in the drawer at home, which she holds close. My mom taught me chess when I was 8 years old. So she sat me down one day after school, and this is one of the school days. We had sat down with this book that she had gotten from a train vendor. And she told me, Aku is what she calls me at home. So she says, Aku, in a game of chess, a pawn is worth 1 point. The knight and bishop are worth 3 points each. The rook is worth 5 and the queen is worth 9. The queen's a very important piece in the game, so be very careful how you use your queen. And my first question was, what about the king though, right? And she says, the king has infinite points. That's the first lesson that I want you to learn in chess. You lose the king, you lose the game, which means you do whatever you have to do, but you save your king. Then from the book, she taught me some bizarre techniques, spinning, decoy, gambit, flew right over 8-year-old Hari's head. But this growing up, playing chess became a ritual in my house. One of the days when I grew up a little more, I had picked up this word. Some of you might have heard of it. It's called feminism. Uh, and my first reaction to the word was, it's absolutely unnecessary. Okay? Because in my head, it was, why do I need a separate word to tell me that people can't be treated differently based on their gender? Right? But I mean, once I got over that fact, I just said, okay, thank God at least it doesn't happen in my household. Thank God everyone's treated equally over here. But once you notice a word, you start noticing things around it. I suddenly started noticing that my mom would wake up first and she would go to sleep the last. When there were 3 pieces of fruit at home, it always came to my brother, my dad, and I. Mom was never hungry. Chicken on Sundays was a ritual at home. But when Monday the leftovers were there, the pieces came to us and the gravy went to her. Right? We all had our passions and hobbies and interests, but mom was just mom. And I needed to talk to her about this and tell her all about feminism. So next day at breakfast, I walk in to educate her about feminism. And I walk in the kitchen, and kitchen is a chaotic scene in my house. So when you walk in, there's always 80s Bollywood music playing from the corner on the radio. Mom is always making 5 kinds of food because we can never decide on what to eat. And the moment I enter, you'll hear the sound of hot dosa falling onto her pan because she's realized I entered and she's already started making breakfast for me. And her hair is always tied in a wet bun because she's just taken a bath and then she's done all of this work. And that day, I sat down with her and I said, Mom, we all have our passions, hobbies, and interests. You can't just be mom. You need to do something as well. You taught me chess. Why can't chess be your passion? You should go play a tournament. And mom being mom gave me my tiffin and sent me off to school. And I thought that was the end of that. But a few days later, I walked into breakfast and mom said, I thought about what you said. And there was this tiny little tournament in my office. So I went and played. And now there's a slight problem. And I was like, what is it? Did you lose? Are you okay? And she said, no. So I kind of won that. And then they said, go for the district level tournament. And the district was happening right next to. So I thought, why not? So I skipped office one day and I went for the district level tournament. And turns out I'm good at the game because I qualified for state level. Now, the state level is an hour away. So I said, why not? So I took a bus and I went for the state level tournament. Long story short, the nationals are happening in Jaipur. And I need to go. And then she tells me, and that is why I'm retiring from my chess career, because I can't talk to dad about this. He's not going to let me go. And I said, we'll go as a team. We'll talk to him. We'll make this happen, right? And when you're talking to dad in the morning in my house, you're not talking to dad. You're talking to the back of a newspaper, right? So we walk into the hall. We go and see dad. And we tell him the whole story. And we say, she wants to go to Jaipur. I don't think he looked up from the newspaper or hesitated a second before he flat out said, no, you can't go. But that's when I had a brainwave, right? It was summer vacations. I said, why don't we all go? It'll be a great summer trip. We can all go to Jaipur. It'll be great fun. And somehow that sentence had more value in my household than my mom's passion. The good thing though, we got to go to Jaipur and mom got to play her first national chess tournament. She didn't win. She came seventh. We came back and I noticed that something had changed about mom. You know, she had this new kida in her. She was, instead of one chess book, there were five chess books. Suddenly there was a chess clock at home. She was practicing for hours a day and she was brutal. She would beat me every day. And come the next nationals, just as expected, boom, she qualifies again for nationals. And this time, nationals are happening in Nainital. And I remember her telling me, Nainital has always been my favorite city. I'm so excited to go. Again, we had this back of the newspaper conversation with my father. And again, the answer was no. I remember her saying, just this once, I'm really passionate about the game. Just this once, can I please go and I'll never play chess again? He said, the kids' exams are going on. How can you even think about going for a chess tournament right now? And that was that. That was the last time that my mom ever played chess. A few days later, I realized another thing about mom. She had flat out been saying no to her promotions for the last 3 years. She was the youngest at work to qualify for it, but her worry was she would have to get a transfer to take the promotion, and she was worried we wouldn't survive alone. Again, I said, you have to talk to dad about it at least, because unless you tell him this, at least just inform him about this. So the third conversation with dad happens. And mom said, listen, I just want you to know that I've been doing this. I'm not going to go, don't worry. I know that you guys won't be able to survive here without me. And in that line, I saw my dad finally raise his face out of that newspaper because his giant male ego was very bruised. He's like, why do you think we won't be able to survive here without you? And then he used this really cool trick. It's called reverse psychology. So he said, if you really want to go, you go. 1 week later, my mom was out of the house. She went to Coimbatore. Three fully grown, completely incapable men in one household. Breakfast was oats. Dinner was oats. Lunch was supposed to be oats, but thank God my school had a canteen. If a sock dropped on the floor, the sock stayed on the floor, right? If things disappeared, there was no mom to magically make it appear again. When we felt sick, we had to go to actual doctors. Right? The worst time of our lives. So I called mom to vent about all this. So I called her and she said hello. And I said, listen, let me first ask you, how are you doing? And she said, I'm having the best time of my life. She was sleeping in on Sundays, reading books, having the baller time, like just always how she wanted, ticking off a bucket list. And I was just really happy for her, you know. And a couple of years later, I left for college. 2 years more, and my brother would leave as well, leaving my dad alone in that house. It took my dad 2 more years and eating a lot of Quaker oats to finally admit that he can't do this alone. The tone he said it in, though, is what will always surprise me, because he picked up the phone on mom and he said, enough is enough, you're coming back. And no questions asked, my mom came back, because my mom would do whatever she had to do to save my dad. A couple of years ago, I was home. It was the first time after my mom had come back after a promotion stint. And I noticed that nothing had changed. When I walked into the kitchen for breakfast that day, my mom's hair was still tied in a wet bun. There was still 80s Bollywood music playing out of a corner out of that radio. She was still making 3 kinds of breakfast. And the moment I entered, I heard the sound of hot dosa falling onto a pan. I still gave long lectures on feminism, and my mom had still never played chess again. Sorry. I did, though. I played a lot of chess going forward. That tiny little article became a bigger article, and I won a lot of prizes and accolades. Moving forward and winning a lot of these tournaments, I had this favorite technique that I used to play once I understood the pinning, decoy, gambit. Gambit actually means it's strategically sacrificing a piece to win the game. And growing up, my favorite opening to play to win chess tournaments was this opening called the Queen's Gambit. A few moves into the game, I would sacrifice my queen, and that's how I would win all my games. My mom taught me chess when I was 8 years old. She told me that a pawn's worth 1 point, knight and bishop are worth 3 points, the rook is worth 5, and the queen's worth 9. But the king has infinite points because you lose a king, you lose a game, so you do whatever you have to do, but you save your king. The thing is, sometimes to win a game of chess, there is no option but to play the queen's gambit. The only thing I keep wondering about is why is it always so necessary to win?